everyone. My name is Caitlin, and I am the Supervisor Residence Life, Education, and Leadership. And so I oversee the Regal office, which coordinates things like orientation, service learning programming, RA training, and a couple of other activities. And today I'm here with some of my friends from Residence Life, and we're going to be talking about today's topic, which is mental wellness and kind of the chaos of today's world and all the changes that COVID-19 has had on our schools, on our homes, our families, and our social life. And so talking a little bit about our experiences and some things that we found that have worked for us and sharing some resources. And so I'm going to throw it over to my team and see if they can introduce themselves.
I'll go first. So I'm Brienne. I'm one of the residence coordinators in Lister Center. So as a residence coordinator, I supervise one of the RA teams. Currently it's for Schaefer Hall. And then I also support and provide guidance to the students or residents that are living in my building throughout the year.
My name is Chantal, and I am a student staff member with Res Life. I am the ASPRA, which stands for Apartment Style Resource Programming Assistant, and my role is to kind of help out all of the RAs on East Campus in their programming, as well as overseeing and supporting students who live in Newton Place. And I'll pass it over to Lula.
Hi everyone, I'm Lula and I'm the Residence Wellness Support Specialist. I work with Res Services. This is kind of a new position for Res Services. So I kind of worry about the mental health and support these RCs like Brienne and the RAs, and we look at programming throughout the residence and see that there's wellness in terms of being considered throughout all the initiatives, etc. So I may have interacted with some of the students, but not many. So it's a wonderful opportunity to kind of have this conversation about what's going on right now. Maybe that's what I will start with. Like, what's going on? How has it been working remotely, having to study remotely for some of us, and how to navigate all that? I don't know if Brienne, you want to try, or Chantal, Caitlin?
I'll start. I think one of the biggest changes for me is the switch to working from home. It's been quite a big change. I'm very used to having coworkers around that I can like throw ideas off of or just interact with throughout the day. And being at home, I'm in the same space all day and trying to really practice that social and physical distancing, so not really leaving my house. So it gets a little like claustrophobic and a little bit repetitive, and every day seems to kind of just blend into each other right now, which I'm trying to figure out really how to cope with that emotionally and mentally, and so I think that's been one of my main challenges, I guess. I don't know who wants to jump in next. Maybe Caitlin? Can I talk to you?
I think one of the biggest challenges I found, it's not necessarily working remotely, but I think just working in today's environment, is that a lot of my portfolio and my job is planning large events or planning events. And it's really hard to plan when there's so much uncertainty and you just have no idea what the next week is going to look like, let alone 6 months into the future. And so I think for myself, it's kind of this notion of like, what do I do? And I think one of the other challenges I've had is that I'm also a student right now taking courses, and writing that last paper right now, like motivation is very low right now. I think it's hard to sit down and want to write a paper when it feels like there's a lot going on or a lot of noise outside. So I think those are the two biggest things that I've found lately. I'm curious, Chantal.
I second the lack of motivation. My primary thing right now is studying. I'm a student. I'm also graduating, which has been very interesting because very exciting. But like my last day of class, I had pictured it like walking out with my friends, going to Dewey's, like celebrating, and instead I was like in my room. The professor like ended the Zoom meeting, and I was like, I'm done classes. Like, it wasn't the same. So kind of getting over just like yeah, on one side fighting with like finding motivation to still study, but the other side of it is just I feel like I've lost like a chunk of that university experience, and so I've been working with many of my peers who are also graduating to kind of regain that in creative ways while still social distancing.
I so totally share it. As a person who likes to get out and, that routine of getting on my bus, walking to my meetings, etc., it's been very challenging, same as you, Brianne, to just sit and just focus and just do this, nothing else. And the loss of the normal, the routine, the expectation, and all this. I don't even know how long we're going to do this, and what does it look like tomorrow? And it's like all the same. Get up. I was like, how do you distinguish your weekend from your weekday? It's like you're home. Well, that has been a challenge, but also as a student, my class was canceled because I do classes every other month. So that whole class was canceled. So we found out on the Thursday night that tomorrow there's no class. So even that, I know many people were preparing for an exam or preparing to go to class, and that's sudden. I was like, what do I do now? That has been I think disturbing. So it was very hard to get into it and finish the assignments or connect with stuff. I think Caitlin said it's like, how do you move forward with all the noise?
Yeah.
That is going on, right? And it's like, is it important anymore? Like, you want to go that route? It's like, okay. It's like, yeah, because you wake up the next morning, there is the work, there is school. So, but that sense of, I think, is it worth it? And you start having those conversations and you worry where you might go. I mean, I don't know for any of you, have you had conversations with people in your lives or even throughout that kind of looked at what now? Does it all matter? Things are going, anyways. Like, I don't know if have you had that experiences?
Yeah, I think leaning on the people we love and the people that give us support right now is really important. And I think having those conversations about how we're feeling and being really honest about it has been quite helpful for me. Personally, going through a lot of experiences right now that I feel kind of echo a loss or grief in terms of, things that should have been happening coming up soon in my life that are no longer happening, and having that conversation and being like, you know what, does it really matter? Does work even matter right now? Am I, what's important? But I think flipping that almost can be a good thing and saying what is important? I have a roof over my head. I have food on my table, and trying to focus on the things that I'm grateful for. Has been somewhat helpful for me, but I know again, everyone's in a different stage of acceptance and figuring this all out, and it's different for everybody. But I think you said, talking to people in a genuine way about how we're feeling is a really good place to start. At least it was for me. I don't know what you folks think.
Yeah, I think that when you're talking about talking in a genuine way, I think I often sometimes worry that well, I know there's bigger problems out there. There's people who are facing a challenge that I would deem as greater, or this has had a more significant impact. And so I try, I think that perspective can be beneficial, but it also doesn't really allow space for you to feel what you're currently feeling. And so when I think about plans for the summer or things that I was expecting to happen that are no longer happening, I'm trying to allow myself or give myself that freedom to feel that way and not compare kind of that I don't know how I feel I should be feeling compared to others.
There's a scene in Keeping Up with the Kardashians where Kim Kardashian loses her diamond earring off the boat, and she freaks out, and one of her sisters is like, people are dying, Kim. And so in my house, for a while, every time something would go wrong, we'd be like, people are dying, Kim, it's gonna be fine. And while it was really funny, I was like, yeah, that's funny. And then I kind of took a step back, though, and similar to Caitlin, I was like, yes, that's a really good perspective, and it's still something I definitely want to hold on to, especially when I'm feeling very overwhelmed by my situation. I feel for me, what works best is I take everything one at a time. Something comes up, I take a few days to process it, be like, okay, that's not happening anymore. I'm going to have to do it this way. And then after those 2 or 3 days, then I kind of can go into the people are dying Kim mindset and find ways to overcome it or do it differently or just get through it. Yeah.
I think the one thing I'd leave off on right now is just that, you know what you need, and you can spend some time figuring out, what works for you and really thinking about what you need. And there's people out there who are there to help you once you figure out what that is. And don't be afraid to reach out to people. Also remember that, like, this will end. I hear a lot of fear that this is going to be like something that goes on forever. It will end. Maybe it won't be exactly what, things were like before, but we can all get through this, and we'll all get through it together.
We've, as human beings, we've gone through, extinctions and, big bangs and, like wars and, epidemics and pandemics. And like, this wasn't that long that we've had a world war, right? Like, and people just, we keep going because we have an internal resiliency to move forward and be compassionate. So just being compassionate with each other. I think that's like, be compassionate with yourself first and others.
Good. Tune in next week. We'll talk about something new.
Awesome. And let us know if there's something you want to talk about.